you for a wonderful year, and we just ask that you continue to guide us and give us the strength we need. I pray for rain, for the growing and planting of crops. And thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Karen. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening? Any additions?
I need to add number of the consent agenda to approve the appropriation ordinance 1231/2011. I didn't have that on there. Yeah, sorry. It's supposed to automatically change, but
Make a motion to approve the additions to the agenda.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Thank you. Business and comments, administration, Jonna. Oh, no, I'm
consent
yeah,
agenda.
sorry.
Approved minutes of the regular meeting of December 20th, 2011. Approved minutes for special meeting December 29th, 2011. Approved appropriation ordinance 0103/2012 in the amount of $39,749.15. Approved appropriation ordinance 1231/2011 in the amount of $1,186.72. Approved the annual tree board allocation of $500 and approved resolution 755 for the gap waiver.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Okay, now there's no citizen comments. Administration, Jonna.
I don't have anything.
Any questions for Jonna this evening?
Yeah, did we get that electric deal straightened out, John? I think I seen something.
We put an insert
Deal
into the
in.
bills.
Yeah.
There was somebody come up to me and they gave me theirs. And they were wondering, one of the things that they were worried about was the availability of funds to be able to pay that at that time. Why there couldn't be a longer period to get this in.
You mean by the 15th?
Yes, one of the things that we had talked about was the going by the date stamp from the United States Postal Service.
It's a postmark.
Are we? We're just not going to do that?
We chose not to because sometimes the date isn't
Right.
on the.
I spoke with Postmaster Lisa over at the post office here, and she said that does happen from time to time, but doesn't happen 100% of the time. There's a lot of people that are concerned about this. I know that there's a lot more people who they're okay with this, but there's enough people that are concerned to get this in on time. Is it possible for us to test drive going by the cancellation?
So they're saying they can't mail it earlier?
Well, if this is being sent out and the mail is becoming slower and they're not getting it on time, really don't.
That's
See
what our
that.
citizens have told us.
Mhm.
That they were mailing at the same time they used to, and it's not getting to us on time, and they don't want to pay the penalty.
Right,
So the suggestion is that you mail it a little earlier,
right. Well, one person
Or
that brought
put
this
it
to
in
me
the
thought
Dropbox.
this was,
or put it in the Dropbox.
Right, one person that brought this to me thought this was kind of curt. It could have been done a little bit more tactfully, but,
I tried.
Well, I know, I don't think it was meant to be do it now or else, but I guess that's the way it came off. So, I just thought I would bring it to council's attention. So,
Okay. Well, council? Yes, Don?
Do you allow electronic funds transfers? Is it the city side?
They can do automatic withdrawal. They can bring it in the door. They can put it in the drop box. They can mail it to us. They can pay it by credit card.
Okay, but the credit card and the electronic funds transfer are available to people, right?
If you're meaning automatic withdrawal.
No, I meant,
You mean,
can somebody go
Bill
online
pay.
and write it, bill pay, can somebody go online?
Through
and
their
use it?
banks and stuff, they can.
You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they can have a direct deposit into the city account.
Yes.
Okay.
And she does the automatic withdrawals. Usually they go between the 3rd and the 5th. You know, so people know that that's what's good. And they get a bill saying how much they get the bills showing how much it was, but it's actually automatically withdrawn from their account, put into the city account.
No, I'm talking about bill pay through a computer program. Somebody wants to pay it online, to go on there and pay it and automatically. And when if it's on the 15th and they want to send that payment in, can they
No.
electronically, we don't
No.
have that capability?
Not unless they want to do it through a credit card. And we have the capability on a credit card for them to do it that way, or a debit card.
We don't have the bill pay.
No, we
option.
cannot, I don't think you want to afford that technology.
Well, I mean, some people are saying that,
Now, they can set it up through their bank for bill pay,
I understand, I know that.
but
option,
that
but
even takes longer.
I'm just talking about the bill pay through electronic, all the QuickBooks and all those programs allow for bill pay, and they can hit the button on the 15th and it goes into the city account.
We don't have that.
Okay.
When does social security
I
checks
didn't
come
think
in?
we did.
It depends.
Usually
they actually come out around the 3rd, don't they?
No, all of them are different, because the newer ones that go online, the newer ones are spread out throughout the month. I mean, the old ones were always on the first Wednesday of the month, but since then, they've started rotating those, like my daughter's social security check is on the third Wednesday of the month. Depends on when they roll them out, they put them through the whole year, that way not everybody's gonna get on one month. So you really can't go by that anymore.
So it could be a small issue if you got your social security check in the 3rd week.
Could be, yeah. Because there's a lot of times, if you got it on the 3rd week, it's gonna be the 21st of June, or 21st of the month before you ever get paid.
Okay, any more discussion on it? Council?
I think we've got 5 different options. I don't think you can do much more than that.
If you can't make your payment, if you don't have the funds, we have the ability to do the payment agreement. However, you will still get a penalty on the amount that you haven't paid. So if you have a $200 bill and you pay $100, you only get penalized on the $100 that you didn't pay. And sometimes it's a matter of getting your budget turned around right. Some people who get paid on the 1st don't pay the bill because they have other bills that are due before it. And then they get shut off on the 25th and they want us to wait till the 1st to pay before they've gotten behind a month. So we can do a payment agreement to help them get brought back around, but it's kind of a personal budget thing at that point.
Well, it just seems that you've got some people at the school who get paid on the 1st, and then you've got the co-op who have faculty here at the school that get paid on between the 15th and the 18th, depending on what day it falls on for the co-op. Again, I understand that it's budgeting. I try to send mine in as quickly as I can. I've only been late once. That's because my bills got thrown in altogether and I forgot to pay it. And luckily, Donna called me up and said, "Did you forget something?" So she was very vigilant on that. So I think that she does a fantastic job down there with that. So I applaud her. But I would just like to try and see if there's anything that we could do to maybe ease this on some people. I know not everyone pays late, but those that have a good track record, they shouldn't be penalized, you know, for the one time that they send in, or their payment gets delayed for whatever reason.
But if you, my feeling on it, if you stretch it out for one or two persons,
Oh, yes.
then the next thing you know, well, they didn't quite get it made when it was later on, and the next thing you know, you've got a snowball effect. I think we ought to leave it the way it is. I think it's a perfect budget type thing, so.
And we would certainly work with those folks to help them, you know, with the
I think that's what everyone's just asking, is if the, you know, they could,
Well, I mean,
Work
I'm
something
talking
out,
about
so.
with the payment agreement so that they could get on top of their budget so they can pay it when they get the bill.
Right.
If they get paid on the 1st, they can pay it by the 15th and not make it, you know, so for 1 month, we'd help them get on a payment agreement that we could maybe extend, especially when it's lower bills, like in the fall and the spring. So they could extend it a couple of months and get on top of that. So when their bill comes, they have their money in there to pay instead of always kind of trying to catch it before, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I know how that feels, so.
Yeah, okay,
But we certainly can work with them to
okay.
get turned around on that.
Okay. Any other questions for John? Thanks, Mark. Okay, thanks, John. Administration, Mel.
The only information I had tonight was in regard to the alternate meeting places we talked about. John tried to get a hold of Dr. Kenworthy to make contact. I was able to catch him later on, but anyway, he said it would be no problem with us using the library for a meeting.
I spoke to him earlier before I came over here, and he wanted to get that on the schedule. I'd already shut everything down, so I wasn't able to get it on there, but I will go over there first thing in the morning, over to the library, talk with Mrs. Snyder, and we'll get it on there, if that's what council wants. And we can get it all arranged, and it shouldn't be a problem with interfering with the BOE.
Did anybody check with the outfitter?
No, let him finish.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I did talk with a member of the Odd Fellows and said that didn't think there'd be any reason why we could not use the Shell building, but it would the city would just have to make a formal request to use the building. Be no charge or anything, just be a matter of asking to use it. So just city needs to make a formal request to them to use the buildings.
Could we do that on a yearly basis, or is that something that's got to be done every month?
No, just first time we do it, we'd have to do it. Just say when we wanted it. I don't think it'd be an issue.
Thank you, man.
And also too, after the last council, not the last council meeting, but the council meeting before the year end, Amy and John and I was in the office below, and Amy was saying we could possibly change some things around downstairs. And I should have talked to you about this before, Amy, but that's partly why she went to school, to learn how to use your space right. Am I right, Amy? So that might be an option as well.
Well, years ago, didn't they have it downstairs?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But till then, I mean, if the Shell building or the library is convenient at the time, then whatever council chooses. So, what do you want to do, council?
I'll make a motion to table until next meeting, till we gather some information.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any questions for Mel tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
I was supposed to say no.
No.
That's all I have.
Is there any questions for Mel this evening? Okay, thanks, Mel. Police Department, Adam?
I'd like to ask for an executive session for 5 minutes to include the council, mayor, Don,
for what reason?
to discuss previous matters discussed in the previous executive session.
So it would be
Non-elected personnel?
non-elected personnel for a new hire.
No,
No, it's to discuss some accounts.
Okay, previous hire.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Thanks, Adam. Fire department, Marshall?
I don't have anything.
Is there any questions for Marshall this evening? Thanks, Marshall. Don?
The only thing I had, if you go down to number 3 on old business, we kind of talked about this a little bit. We're not going to take action tonight. We'll probably have it in next week's packet. We looked at the person that does the inspections for the county for their sanitary sewers. Also, and I think Mel talked to you about this, didn't he? About maybe doing inspection work for water wells within the city for a fee of about $100 or so. I don't want to quote the number here yet, but so what I did, I looked through the regulations that the state of Kansas has, and there's fairly detailed regulation on the licensing of water well drillers. And what I have written is a proposed ordinance that will be in there to look at next time. It basically adopts by reference the code that the state already has in place, which has minimal drilling standards, well drilling standards, that have licensing requirements for these water well drillers. But what I did was, in the ordinance, is allow for the city to hire an inspector to watch them to make sure that they drill the well properly. That would be paid with a water drilling permit, which we would issue, and the inspection fee would be to basically cover the cost of that inspection. And I also, in that ordinance, gave the water well driller some latitude, since the location and the topography of St. John doesn't really fall within the state minimum guidelines. I mean, we have fairly high water tables. I gave the inspector the authority to require, maybe a deeper pipe if they want to go deeper. Let him specify what zones can be perforated for water wells, what grout would have to be used, what casing would have to be used, and give him some regulatory authority to keep the contaminations from apply only to new wells that will be drilled from here on. It wouldn't apply to old wells. So it's something for you to look at. We can talk about it. The other ordinance I drafted will kind of covers a hole we have in our sanitary code. Generally within the city, we're within a block of sanitary sewer. There's some spots in town where there's gaps. And if there's a gap somewhere, if it's not within a reasonable distance of a sewer line, then we need to have some kind of requirements for them to have a qualified septic system. The county has the code for areas outside the city limits, and it applies only to unincorporated areas. What I propose to do is just adopt their standards by reference and have it apply to any place in the city that we can't hook up to a city sewer. It's just basically a cleanup of our code. So those are the two things you'll have in your packet next week. Mel's going to look at them. The water well drillers regulations are probably 10 or 15 pages, and they're pretty detailed. I don't know if you guys want a copy of those to look through and read through and kind of see what your ideas on. I mean, Mel's got them. I gave them to Mel, and we can make copies for you and put them in the packet. I just, I don't know how detailed you guys want to go into researching drilling the water wells.
Is that a commercial well, or is that a residential well?
It applies to any well. I mean,
As far as the state regs?
it applies to any well.
Anyway.
If that's something you're interested in, if not, we'll quit wasting our time on it. So you might give Mel a little feedback so he knows whether we're going to pursue it or not. That's all I have.
Guys want a copy of that in your packets?
I don't think we all need a copy of that,
Okay.
unless they, I mean,
Yeah, just a couple copies.
Okay, yeah, we can hand it between each other, okay.
Yeah.
I can read Mel's. Okay. All right, so
Kevin, that's 100 foot from septic system to a water line, isn't it?
I believe so.
It's 50 according to the thing.
Yeah, different, Pratt County, I get them mixed up. Pratt County's 100.
I think
Stephen County, Edwards,
it's 50.
Pawnee, Rush, Spartan is 50.
I think it's 50.
You're right.
it's only 50 from a well to a septic tank?
Exactly.
But Pratt's 100.
That seems to me like it's all close.
That's, yeah,
That's what the county requires.
And
Now, if you want to change it,
I
we
want it
need,
changed.
okay, all right.
I want it changed, maybe, I don't have votes, sorry, maybe you better ask council.
If any water line crosses a sewer line, you have to double case either the water line or the sewer 10 feet on each side of the intersection. This is one of our deals, in the county deal. That's, I mean, it's not hard.
Right,
It just prevents it from leaching right in if you have a break in either the sewer
Right.
or the water. It sends it out 10.
100 foot wouldn't be hard to get if you had,
If you got a small lot in town, 100 foot's good.
Yeah, none of the ones in Seward, you know, they all have their private well, they all have their private septic tank, and I'll bet you there isn't 5 of them.
100 feet, if you wanted to drill a well next to the city sewer, you'd have to be 100 foot away from that, wouldn't you? Is that not right, Don?
Well, it's from a, those codes,
Tank.
It's
those are from a tank,
from a tank,
not
okay,
from
so that wouldn't
not
affect.
including a water, sanitary sewer system in a town, no. Because they're generally sealed up pretty well, I mean, as far as.
Yeah, nowadays, all of your water and sewer are in sealed glue joints. In the old days,
The old,
they just slid together. There's no glue, no adhesive, no,
well, there's tree roots
yeah.
that glue them together now.
That's correct.
okay. Is there any questions, other questions for Don? Thanks, Don. New business? No new business, old business? Large animal, wellhead protection?
I need to make contact with them, back
Okay.
to the water. Other than that, we've already pretty much covered everything.
All right, the change over the venue, we already covered that one with the place where we was gonna have a council meeting, so.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Thanks, council, happy new year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.